everybody. It's Anne here on the LifeLDC couch, and welcome to the LifeLDC channel, where I love to talk about knitting. And I'm so excited today because my friend Darlene has agreed to appear with me here because she loves Hedgehog Fibres, and it's all her fault. Look what I've got, Hedgehog Fibres. Oh my God, Darlene. So say hello, Darlene, and tell us a little bit about yourself, why you love Hedgehog Fibres, and just a little general introduction.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I've known Anne for quite some time. We go way, way back. I think our friendship sort of started with our love for Rowan. I was addicted to Rowan for a number of years, and I've been knitting. I started knitting when I first got married, and everybody teased me back in the 80s. And I'm so glad I continued on, because during the times that we're in, it is such a wonderful, wonderful craft to have and work on. So I've been knitting for a very, very long time. Rowan was my passion for yarns, and I felt a little funny trying to venture into another yarn over the years. Every time I chose something that wasn't Rowan, I sort of held back a bit and thought, no, I don't know if I can knit this. But we moved up to...
I just wanted to say I totally agree with you, Darlene. It's hard to break out of your comfort zone, because Rowan was my comfort zone for years. And yeah, so I'm totally with you there. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you were just about to explain to us how you got into this current predicament that you're in.
I know. So I always would knit gray sweaters. That was the joke. Every time I went to my favorite yarn shop, it was like gray, gray, gray. Oh, a bit of black. Oh, and gray. Well, we moved up to Lake Huron area, and in Grey Bruce County, and first few years up here were brutal. We had the winter that almost never ended, and we experienced severe whiteouts. Now, I grew up in Winnipeg, and I always thought Winnipeg winters were terrible, but when you move up here, there's days where the highways are closed, roads are closed, schools are closed, no one's going anywhere, and it's whiteout, whiteout, whiteout. Well, let me tell you, with a whole gray closet and whiteout, you start craving spring. So I started doing some, poking around on Ravelry, and started seeing that a lot of people were knitting with Hedgehog Fibres. And at first when I looked at them, I thought I could never knit with that many colors and that many speckles. But one of the designs by the owner and designer, Beata Jezik, really intrigued me. It was called Born Trippy. And I fell in love with it. So I think it was right after the holiday season, I thought, I'm going to order this, and I did. And the kit came, and what intrigued me about the Born Trippy was the interesting edging on it, and also the colors. So out of my comfort zone. But again, the kit arrived, and it was sort of sat in the corner as I knit my gray whatever. And we had a storm that hit, and that storm lasted days. I think the highways were closed for 3 or 4 days that week, and I thought, this is the time to branch out and dig out that Born Trippy shawl. So I started, and I was hooked. And I'll just show you I'll show you the whole thing right now. So this is the edging that really intrigued me. And I love the lace designs. So, okay, that didn't scare me. It's blue with speckled background. Well, then it got just a little wilder, and you went into purple, which isn't one of the colors I normally wear. Well, then it hit the fuchsia, and that's where I was like, oh my goodness, am I really going to finish this? And then it went into fluorescent orange. You could probably see me in the snowstorm. And but I persevered, and I must have finished this probably within a couple weeks. I was so enthralled.
Are they the original colors?
They are. I'm a creature of habit, and I ordered the colors that are listed in the pattern. Okay,
because I would be extremely challenged to pick wilder colors to go out of my comfort zone. So going with the original shades is a way to step into that, right?
It is. It's because then you know you're sort of going to get the product that you see and you're going to like it. And yeah, I thought, why not branch out a little bit?
Good. I love the edging on that one.
It was really unique and it was fun to do, and a little bit of not really a challenge, but just something a little different. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to knit, and I was so excited when I finished it. So after that, I was hooked, and it really brought me out of that winter sort of doldrum. And I decided to venture out again onto the Hedgehog site and see what else there was out there. And I fell in love with a shawl or wrap called Outline. And again, creature of habit, I wanted the colors that they were calling for. And I decided that I couldn't understand why these colors really intrigued me. It was gold and light colors and deeper plums, and again, out of my comfort zone. But a friend of mine actually, when I was knitting it, said, I think I know why you like it so much. And my grandmother, Ukrainian background, called her Baba. She always wore paisley kerchiefs. And when I was knitting this, I thought, why am I so attracted to the colors? And that, I think, was that impetus where I saw the yarn and I saw these colors in it. I think it took me right back to when I was a kid and reminded me of my Baba. So I had to, of course, order that kit. And this is really probably my favorite one that I've done. What's really nice too about Hedgehog Fibres and Beata Jezik, her patterns are all free on her website and through Ravelry, which is really nice. I mean, it's a nice way to expand your library.
And you ordered from Needle Emporium in Ancaster. That's my local yarn store. And even though you're far away, it's obviously your local Hedgehog Fibre yarn store.
It is. And Julie, the owner, carries, I think, probably every color and potluck available. Little bit about Needle Emporium. I've been traveling to Ancaster for over 30 years, I think, when she first opened up. That's where actually my love of Rowan started and my addiction started with all the beautiful yarns. So I was really excited to see that she was carrying Hedgehog in a big way. So, and always happy to help. So, but I'll show you a little bit of outline. And it starts out with a color called Teacup, and then it goes into a little darker one. I think it's Vengeance, if I'm not mistaken. All the colors are listed in the pattern, and then it goes into this beautiful pollen color, which is used quite a bit in her designs to add that bit of punch. And then, of course, gray. And it continues on, and this was so much fun to knit. It was almost like one of those things where, when you read and you want to read the next chapter, you want to stay up and read, this was like, okay, I want to knit the next section and see what happens, because it really does change the look of the shawl.
Spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, now you've got two under your belt. And what was next?
Well, what was next was I was missing a bit of gray.
Gray.
Like I was cheating on Rowan and I was cheating on gray, and I felt like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I actually knit this beautiful gray wrap in between, and a lot of texture and a lot of fun. So, but again, after I finished, sorry?
I recognize that brushed fleece, right?
Actually, it's big wool silk.
Oh, is it? I thought it was the big brush fleeced. Okay, I erase that. It's Rowan big wool silk. Spectacular. In gray.
In gray. But what I realized, what I realized about Hedgehog Fibres was, yes, they're colorful, but you can, when you knit a beautiful piece, and it is more vibrant than what you normally wear, you can tone it with your neutrals, white, navy, gray, black. And I think they offer a nice sort of background so that your knitting really stands out. So I really think I've gotten over the color, the color and the gray kind of situation. So my next one was, again, a creature of habit. I fell in love with Beata Jezik's coat that she had on her website. and it was called Feather Weather. And this one made me a little nervous. I think hers was coral shoulders and bright royal blue. And I was like, okay, I don't think I really can go there. But I had started, I started buying some yarns. And I think one of the tricks too, when you're starting to work with some of these speckles, is don't be afraid and pick up ones that really speak to you. And I had started to pick up ones that I liked. I had leftovers now from a few of my shawls and wraps that I knit. So I came up, and I was shocked I did this, but I came up with my own color combination.
Yay, Darlene.
I know, way out of my comfort zone. But anyways, I knit the coat, and I wear it over sleeveless tops and short sleeve tops. I've worn it over tank dresses in the summer, and it actually is exquisite on. It has, I used a DK weight for the shoulders to give it some stability, which she does note in her pattern. And then I use different colors of Hedgehog fibers as well on a very large needle. I think I knit this up maybe in, I don't know, 5 nights or so. And it's just a pleasure to wear. One of my favorite colors too, I do love gray, is this one blue that she makes is called Petrol. It's just the most beautiful shade of blue. There's that pollen again as well. So that is just a lovely piece to wear.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So it's like the Grello combination. I see you have a little yellow going on there, the goldy yellow, and that goes great with gray.
It does.
I think it's a neutral, that goldy color. Yeah.
And also adds that little bit of punch as well, because I think when you take out some of that little bit of punch, you sort of, where it has a very different look and palette to it.
Right. So what was next?
What was next? Well, by now I was totally obsessed, right? I was crazed, obsessed. My infatuation and my love of Rowan is now, I've now have 2 streams. Now I have the Hedgehog passion, and I'm always interested in who's doing what with Hedgehog fibers. I would love to do all of Bieda's patterns, and I do have a bit of stash to knit up some of her other ones listed on her on their website. But Andrea Mowry started, you saw a lot of Andrea on Ravelry and in different forums, and it was the Find Your Fade knitting craze that intrigued me. And I fell in love with the colors, and also the shape of a beautiful shawl that everybody probably knows out there is Find Your Fade. If you don't, take a look at it. It's the most beautiful way to start using these speckled yarns in a very painterly palette type of way as they fade in a garment from light to dark. And really you can do anything with them, but I fell in love with that one. And again, there's me, the creature of habit. I did my feather weather coat in colors I like, but on this one I thought I really want the colors. So I looked at it and online, and you could not, some of the colors in it were potluck colors, which are colors that Hedgehog Fibers does in a limited quantity, and once they're sold, they're sold. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? And Andrea Mowry suggested a couple of substitutes that were very similar to the originals. So I thought, okay, I'll venture in this way and take her advice, and ordered a Find Your Fade, again from Needle Emporium. And I can show you that one. These totally, again, not my colors, but it is a beautiful, beautiful piece to wear with whites and blacks. It fades from light. I think you're going to see the dark here, but it fades to red and beautiful fuchsias and sort of a bit of greens and oranges. And oh, this was so fun to knit. I felt like I was sitting in a garden of flowers around me. And there's that pollen again. I do like that color. And yeah, it just a beautiful piece. Now, I'm gonna. Do
you have more than one of those? Come on, confess. I think you told me you had another one of those somewhere. Did you? Are you? Well, come on.
Probably last year. The Needle Emporium noted that they had the original colors in Find Your Fade. And I thought, how different could they be? And I did see a photo of them, and I thought, oh, you know, a friend of mine really does love this shawl. This might go to a new home. And I did, shh, don't tell my husband. I did order the original kit, which is now available. I think there was so much interest in those colors. So I will reknit this, and it will be in the original colors. And I think this one will probably go to a dear friend.
Sounds like a plan. Come on, tell me about those. How are you showing us off your scarves there, your shawls there? What kind of little system have you got going?
Well, you know, creature of habit, a little bit of OCD mixed in there. Like, I like things very systematic. And I find when I put my shawls away, you fold them up and they get creases in them, and then you either have to steam them or wear them a few times, and the creasing comes out. But I don't know what it was. A friend of mine came up with this idea, and she mentioned it to me, that she took rolls from Christmas wrap paper or birthday wrap paper and just rolled the shawls around them. And I love it because you can put it on a shelf and you can actually see them all too, or at least just pull out one of these. And I just love having these. So if you have any friends who are doing a lot of wrapping, best way to store shawls.
That's a spectacular way to store them. Okay, what was next, Darlene?
Well, Find Your Fade was a lot of fun, but it is a larger project. I think there was 7 colors in it, and it did take a little longer than some of the other projects that I was knitting. So I wanted to do something a little smaller, and Andrea Mowry, of course, came out with a Free Your Fade. And I ventured out a little bit on my own again here. I was at a fiber festival, and I found the most beautiful shade of sort of that pollen gold color with gray. And I decided to knit Free Your Fade. And this one is just a great way to use up those beautiful speckles with maybe a little bit of a solid. And I know, Anne, you're venturing into the speckled world. And I really think you need to try this one.
Okay.
This yarn was by, the pronunciation is probably not correct, Utashita, I think it is. But I used a little bit of Hedgehog Fibres and their yarn, and it turned into the most beautiful gray wrap with a little bit of pollen thrown in. It has a beautiful eyelet lace design. This one is the perfect shape. It's a little smaller than Find Your Fade. And it also is, you can tie the ends of it and wear it so many different ways. It's just a really, really great size. So I've knit that one in grays, and then bought a spring jacket last year in olive green. I sort of ventured out into greens for a little bit there, not gray. And I found some beautiful, little bit of hedgehog, and it might be all hedgehog actually. I actually knit that in greens with lighter oatmeal at the beginning, and then I think that's Ferrum at the end. And then I can't remember what this one is, but it's another Hedgehog Fibre. But I've knit 2 of these now, and I know it won't be my last because they are the perfect size, and you need 3 skeins of yarn. And you'll have leftovers that you'll still be able to do something else with.
Oh, I think that will be my first bigger shawl. Yeah, it sounds perfect for a starter shawl.
On speckles, yeah. So as you can see, my love for color and speckles has really grown, and many of my fellow knitters were, at the time when I was starting to knit all these speckles and looking at Andrea Mowry and Beata Jezik's designs. Everybody was knitting Stephen West designs, and he was incorporating a lot of Hedgehog Fibres in his work as well. And I think this is where I really went off the edge, and people are still shocked when I wear this one shawl. He designed a shawl called Boardwalk, and with a beautiful edging on it. And Beata Jezik's chosen colors were unbelievable. And everybody kids me that they have to wear their sunglasses when they're outdoors with this one because it's very bright. Well, this one I hummed and hawed about for quite some time before I actually had to order some of the yarn. And I am so happy with this shawl. I love it with white. I love wearing it in the summer. It is, now, like I said, warning, warning, warning. Put your sunglasses on.
Oh, wow.
It's magnificent. Just lovely colors, and that orange and sort of fuchsia, I think it's called Kid You Not and jelly edging is just amazing. And then striping throughout it. This was so much fun to knit. And even though a large shawl, it was a quick knit because you're doing everything in some striping sections. I think what took me the longest was the border, but I just loved Stephen West designs. I fell in love with them, and now I'm sort of like on the, working with Hedgehog and then looking at his designs and really enjoying my knitting.
The colors in that one are spectacular, just spectacular.
Yeah, all thanks to Beata Jezik for posting them up on the website. I will have to tell you, I do have some other colors set aside, and I think I'm going to venture out and do my own boardwalk. The only thing I'm sort of humming about is I'm not sure about the edging. I have one color chosen, which is, I think it's called UFO. It is the brightest sort of yellow green. I don't know what the edging would be, but I think it'd be a neat way to knit the entire shawl, put the border on, and then for that extra bit of punch at the edge, take it into a yarn shop and find the right finish for that one. But I do have some set aside, and that again, you'll need sunglasses for that one.
Well, in the summer when the sun is so bright and you're up there, you're getting the reflection off of water and stuff, you need bright, right? Because it gets toned down. Yeah, you go from one extreme to the other, gray to brilliance. Do you have anything else to show us from Stephen West?
I have one more. I've really been intrigued by his dotted rays shawl. I think I mentioned I knit Boardwalk first. That was my first Stephen West, but actually when I think back, this was my first Stephen West. A friend of mine and I did it. We started knitting it at the same time. And I remember when I started out, it really threw me because I realized while I was knitting it, it has a very mathematical rhythm to it. And after knitting a couple of Stephen West shawls, and now I'm working on a new one, he is a master in mathematics because the way he's written them, you'll see that rhythm throughout. But I fell in love with dotted rays. A lot of people have knit this shawl. And again, I was sort of trying to figure out what colors to do, and there was a color scheme that he had suggested. I think I might have had to replace one because some of these colors, again, might have been a potluck or not available. And I knit this over the summer must have been a couple years ago, and I just fell in love with the rhythm, and it was so soothing. It was almost like you were listening to music while knitting it. The way it progresses. So I'll show you a little bit of this one. It starts out light and then goes into a darker edging. This one was really fun.
Wow. Was that Hedgehog also?
This is all Hedgehog as well, yes.
Good. Glad to see you're keeping Hedgehog busy.
Oh, it's, yeah, but you know what I find too, it's nice. I mean, I have used Utashita, I have used Life in the Tall Grass, the odd stain here and there in some of my work as well. So a lot of these colors, once you start collecting, I find that you'll find a palette that you really like. And I think as more designers are putting work out there as well, you can see some of the even different color combinations that they're putting together. And sometimes, some of the Stephen West shawls, you can take a look at like Jig Shawl and Fantastic. I've almost come to the opinion that almost anything that you can put together will go together because some of these speckles pick up on other colors. So,
well, remember another one of our sort of old, showing our age, designers that we are fans of. Haif used to say, if you don't think it's working, just add more colors. 20 colors, whatever. So maybe it's the same system, same theory.
Yes, I think so. I think that's definitely what's happening. So I've really taken, I now have a lot of leftovers. And I started venturing more into I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just where I'm at in my knitting. I still love some of the designs by Hedgehog and Andrew Mowry. But some of the Stephen West shawls that have been coming out, I've really been intrigued with. And I think because of that mathematical, that's never been a strong point for me. But I just love the way he's put these together, and some of the I-cord edging and borders that are being used are quite unique. And I think even the times that we're in, we're looking for inspiration and fun and something to really inspire us and make us happy. Like, I find I could be having you have a certain day or a weekend, and you sort of pick up your knitting and you put this color in your hands, and it just brings you such joy. So I'm finding that, I think maybe that's why I'm sort of venturing now. I've looked at Stephen West. I'm working on a new one. We'll have to talk about that another time, but I've gone into knitting the Cozy Corner shawl with some great colors. So yeah, and there's a few others stashed away. So I just wish I could knit faster.
I think so. I think you knit fast enough, Darlene. You're putting me to shame.
Oh.
I think I knit a lot, but oh my God. Well, I want to, but before we go here, what are you wearing, Darlene? What shawl is that I see?
Oh, this shawl is called Birds of a Feather. It's designed by Andrea Mowry, and she I think it first appeared in the Lane magazine, which I absolutely love their magazines. And it's a mix of skinny singles in Hedgehog and their sort of mohair kid silk case type of fiber as well. Beautiful, beautiful, lightweight, and nice little lace sections, but then it puts you right back to garters so you can watch TV and knit at the same time. So,
oh, that's great. Well,
yeah,
maybe I can ask you this. What is the difference? You know, this is the first time that I bought Hedgehog, and I have to tell you, I love these holographic labels. So this must be a new label, and this must be the older label. But yeah, these are the first time I've worked with singles, and every once in a while you see them, they've got this little twerky little, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little kink in it. What is there you've got any tips for me on how to work with singles? Do you have to watch they don't twist up on themselves, or when you're winding them, anything? Or is this just me being paranoid?
Well, a little, I've sort of debated this with Julie at Needle Emporium when I first ventured into knitting with Hedgehog fibers, because there's the sock Hedgehog fibers, and then there's the skinny singles. Now the sock has the merino and the nylon in it, which my couple of shawls I showed you today, like the Boardwalk and Dotted Rays, were made out of sock. They have a lovely drape to them, but they do feel a tiny, tiny bit heavier, I think, because of that extra little bit of nylon. But the skinny singles, being mostly the merino, they have a bit of a halo effect to them as well. I find when I'm winding them, they might stick a little bit, so just watch when you're winding. But and you might get a few spots when you're knitting that they might be a little bit thicker, but that's only in a few spots. But no, they're beautiful, beautiful to work with. And I do love the skinny singles. I just like that halo effect and just the feel of them as well. So I think you'll really enjoy yours. And Anne, I just love, can you tell me what colors you chose?
Well, this was not my choice. So I don't know if everybody in the whole yarn world has this, but Local Yarns Store Day, Casapinka designed a shawl pattern for Yarn Store Day. And the idea was all the yarn stores would put together color kits for her yarn, for her pattern. And it's called Breath and Hope. How appropriate for right now. We're all just trying to breathe and hope we get through this, right? And you only need 2 skeins of fingering weight. So when I went on Needle Emporium's site, there was all these colors, and we had sort of just talked recently about Hedgehog fibers. So I zoomed right into, this is number 5. This was group number 5, because they're both skinny singles. And this one is called Ozone. And this one is called Glacier. So you can see the glacier's a little bit brighter than the blue in the ozone, but there are blues in the ozone, those blue right there. So I think this is going to be a great combination to give the subtle, but, you know, nice mixture in this pattern. So that will be my first Hedgehog Fibres.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's a beautiful combination. I also noticed when you're working with Hedgehog Fibres, it's really nice if you're trying to decide on colors and color combinations is to open up the skeins and really see what colors are traveling through the entire skein, because sometimes you don't see it when they are twisted. So not that I'm suggesting that you go into your local yarn shop and start untwisting them, but
I was just thinking that. Do you think they would mind?
Well, I think you have to work with your local yarn shop owner, but even when you have a stash at home, is try to open them up and really take a look at to see what colors will play off each other. And
yeah, like you know, now that I've opened up this ozone, look at this right here. There's a beautiful little spark of pink there, and that would have been quite a brilliant combination to put with this, wouldn't it? That little bright pink.
Yeah.
Good tip. Julie's going, no, don't come and open up all my skeins. Sorry, Julie, too late.
A photographer friend of mine years ago, I always very matchy. Maybe it's the age, you know, matchy. Remember we matched our shoes and our handbags, and she always told me that when she was taking photographs, is always to have something in the photograph that gives a bit of a contrast. If everything is sort of in the same color palette, you're not going to see that sort of yin and yang in a picture, or cause somebody to sort of stop and look at something. And I think with Hedgehog, you know, there is that sort of thinking, I think, with the colors that they throw in these great, like even in that skein you showed, the ozone, there's a beautiful eggplant color, sort of deep purple that runs through it as well. And that is going to play off that blue so beautifully. So I really can't wait to see that that started.
Well, I'm 2/3 way through my next project, and I am a monogamous knitter, so I'm going to finish that. I'm trying to resist.
I'm a polygamous knitter.
Well, obviously whatever works for you. If it works for you, you've got some great, fabulous projects there, so it works for you. So
thank you, Anne. I love, I have to say, I love the sweater that you're wearing today.
Well, I will be talking about this with another one of my knit buddies, because this is the new City Limits by Tanis Fiber Arts, and this was my first experience of using her yarn. I'm really interested to see the difference between a fingering and a skinny single. So this is all new to me.
We're all learning along the way. Well, I'm looking forward to your chat about that sweater, because it is exquisite and it looks beautiful on you.
Thank you very much. It was definitely out of my color zone too. I'm a navy blue person. I like anything that goes with jeans. So, I was thrilled with this, so thank you very much. And I want to say thank you for spending some of your Sunday with us. I know you're busy on a Sunday, and this is your valuable knitting time, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But no, I've enjoyed this very much, and yes, looking forward to seeing and where your next color palettes are going.
Well, thank you, and I hope that you will come and join us again here on the LifeLDC couch and chat knitting again. So let's say goodbye.
My pleasure. Thank you, Anne.
See you later, guys.